Hey everyone! So I wanted to make a video to highlight some of the tracks I've been listening to lately when testing headphones, but I realized that with YouTube Content ID, I'm not going to be able to play you samples from those tracks because even though I think it would be fair use to do so, dealing with the Content ID dispute process is a nightmare. So instead, what I'm going to do is put a link in the description of this video to a post over at my blog, and you can listen to those tracks and read my comments there at your leisure. But honestly, unless you want to hear some new music or you're just curious, I don't think you should really pay that much attention to what I listen to when I'm testing headphones. I may geek out about headphones, but at the end of the day, headphones are for music and not the other way around. So while I think reference tracks can be useful, I think the most important thing is to listen to music you like and know well. So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on testing headphones and choosing reference tracks from your own library. Number 1, listen to what you know. This is really important. Choose reference tracks that you are familiar with and that you've heard on a wide variety of equipment, because then you'll know how it should sound in different situations. This is why I think it's important to choose music you actually listen to and enjoy, because you'll know better than anyone else how it should sound. That also means that whenever possible, when testing any equipment, ask if you can use your own music. In-store demo tracks are near useless unless you're very familiar with them, because you have no idea how the track is supposed to sound and how much of the way it sounds is coming from the headphone and how much is coming from the way the track was mastered or produced. Number 2, variety. Variety is a great idea. This one's pretty simple. Maybe a headphone sounds great for math rock, but terrible for death metal. Maybe a headphone sounds amazing for vocalist A, but awful for vocalist B. Different types of music will pick up different characteristics in a headphone. Choose tracks that have some distinctive thing that you like. Maybe you love hearing the way the soundstage pans in one track, or you just love the way things get textured or layered in another track. Use what you expect and like to hear to guide you when listening to something new. Number 3, mastering matters. And by this, I don't mean you should only listen to audio file recordings that are mastered amazingly, because I think that kind of thing is like choosing movies to watch based on which movies bring out the contrast ratio on your television best. What I mean is be aware of differences in how music is mastered. Some music is mastered with amazing dynamic range and a lovely sense of clarity. Some music is mastered with a lot of sibilance and compression. You want to know how a given piece of gear is going to handle anything that you throw at it, because some headphones can emphasize parts of a recording in ways that are distracting or even painful. You'll notice that on my list of tracks, I have a few tracks that I've chosen not because they're brilliantly mastered, but specifically because I think they are worst case scenarios in terms of being mastered too hot, too compressed, or too sibilant. Number 4, listen with an open mind. Let me tell you a story. One time, when I was much younger, my sister gave me a glass of chocolate milk. Now, I love chocolate milk. I took a sip and spat it out everywhere because it tasted awful. And it tasted awful because it wasn't chocolate milk, it was Bailey's. Strange thing is, I like Bailey's, but because I was expecting chocolate milky goodness in my mouth and not creamy Bailey's goodness, my immediate instinct was to reject it. Headphones can be like that too. I've had so many situations where I've absolutely hated something on first listen because it was not what I expected or it was different from what I've been listening to lately. But after more listening time, sometimes you get over your initial expectations and come to love something for what it is. For instance, I demoed the Sony XBA-Z5 3 times before I bought it. I absolutely hated it at first, but today it's one of my favorite in-ears. The opposite also applies. So something that you like at first listen can reveal its flaws to you after a long demo. So approach things with an open mind and don't go in expecting chocolate milk in case you miss out on some delicious Baileys. Also, my sister is a bad person. Number 5, related to this is burn-in. I get asked about this a lot and I'll restate my official position now. I do not believe in burn-in as a significant audible phenomenon that makes equipment sound dramatically better over time. I have never seen any measurements that explain the kind of improvements that some users report. What I do think is a more likely phenomenon is mental burn-in. It takes time to get used to sensory changes. I wear glasses and anyone who wears glasses can tell you, when you get a new pair of glasses, everything looks weird and distorted at first, and then after a while it settles down and everything looks normal again. And it's not like your glasses burned in, or it's not like your eyes burned in. It's just that your brain took a little while to adjust to new input. Now, I'm no neuroscientist, but I'm pretty sure a similar thing happens with audio and hearing. So whether you believe in the magical burn-in fairy or that headphones are slowly taking over your brain, just give things time. Number 6, don't pay too much attention to price. Now, this is part of listening with an open mind. Manufacturers will charge whatever they think customers will pay, and some manufacturers will charge a higher price just to increase the perceived quality of their products. This is possible because dumb suckers like me make the market irrational. At the end of the day, measurements aside, sound quality is a subjective perception, and as long as you have a sufficiently strong brand narrative, you can influence that perception.
In 1991, we created the best headphones in the world. We called them Orpheus. Now we have done it again. Years of the uncompromising philosophy of K9. This is my first high-end closed-back headphones, providing unprecedented Japanese and comfort, Urushi finished craftsmanship.
There's nothing sneaky about this, it's just how luxury goods work, and I'll be the first to tell you that fancy headphones are in fact a luxury good, because most people just stick with earpods. So ignore the price. Some cheap things can sound extremely good, and some expensive things can be really quite mediocre, and you might be missing out on something if you reject things simply based on price. Lastly, sound isn't everything. Now, I often get asked, what is the best headphone for X dollars only considering sound quality? And I'll let you know something. While I understand why people ask this kind of question, I hate answering it. Here is something I believe very firmly. The best headphone is the one that you will actually wear. And that means that the best headphone is one that you can wear comfortably for hours and one that's not going to fall apart on you. If it's a portable headphone, the best headphone is going to be a headphone that blocks out enough noise so that you can actually hear your music without giving yourself hearing damage by turning up the volume. And sometimes it's important to choose a headphone that won't look like some kind of awkward science experiment on your head. There are a lot of headphones that I love the sound of that I will never buy, simply because I think they're uncomfortable or impractical. Maybe your priorities are different, but for me, sound isn't everything, and it's not even always the most important thing. So with all of that said, you can check out the list of test tracks over at my blog by following the link in the description of this video. I'd also love to hear your thoughts about what you think is important when testing headphones, and maybe a little about your own personal approach to choosing a headphone. As always, happy listening.
Urushi.